The Philadelphia Eagles are currently standing on a razor's edge, and the decisions being made behind closed doors this summer could either launch them into a dynasty or trigger a total internal collapse. One high-potential defender is fighting for his very existence on this roster. A massive contract standoff is brewing that could reshape the team's salary structure forever, and the pressure on the quarterback to deliver yet another ring has reached a boiling point that the media is calling make or break. If you think you know how this offseason is going to play out, you need to hear the truth about what is actually happening inside the facility. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. There is a storm brewing in Philadelphia, and to understand how we got here, we have to talk about the number 11. For years, that jersey number in Philly carried a weight so heavy it felt cursed. Fans wanted it buried, forgotten, and erased from history. But this summer, everything changed. The rising star, Jayad Campbell, officially claimed the number 11. It's a bold move. It's a statement. It's a signal that the past is dead and the future has arrived. But while the team moves on from old ghosts, a new, much more expensive problem has landed on their desk. The landscape of the defensive tackle market just exploded. When the Tennessee Titans handed Jeffrey Simmons that massive 3-year, $105 million extension, putting him at $35 million a year, the shockwaves didn't just stay in Nashville. They slammed directly into the Eagles' front office. Because now, Jalen Carter has a new benchmark. His agent, the legendary Drew Rosenhaus, isn't going to settle for anything less than a deal that makes Carter the highest-paid defensive tackle in the history of sport. But here's where the story turns into a high-stakes chess match. The team is caught in a brutal dilemma. They know Carter is a game wrecker with the potential to dominate the league for a decade, but they are rightfully haunted by lingering questions about his health and his consistency. Who is actually to blame for this contract stalemate? The rising star who wants his market value, or the front office that has been burned by big bets before? Drop a name in the comments below, and let's see who really understands the business of the NFL. But wait until you hear why the front office is actually hesitating to hand over that blank check. And it isn't just about the money. The reality is that while the potential is there, the production hasn't yet reached the elite, legendary status of guys like Chris Jones or the newly paid Jeffrey Simmons. Carter has shown flashes of brilliance, but he hasn't been the constant, week-in and week-out terror that justifies a $35 million a year price tag just yet. It is a terrifying gamble. Pay him now and risk overpaying, or wait a year and risk the price jumping to an astronomical level if he finally breaks out. It is a classic high-pressure standoff, and the only man capable of navigating this maze is Howie Roseman. But while the stars are arguing over millions, there is a tragedy of a different sort unfolding at the bottom of the roster. A young player once heralded as a freak athlete is now fighting to even stay in the building. Ty Robinson, the second-year defensive tackle, was supposed to be a force of nature. Instead, he has become a ghost. As the team grinds through spring workouts, Robinson's name is nowhere to be found. In a landscape where opportunities are handed out like candy to young players during team drills, Robinson has been relegated to the third string. To make matters worse, he's been working alongside players who have barely touched a football field in their lives. When a fourth-round pick from just a year ago is being outplayed by practice squad hopefuls, the writing is usually on the wall. At 25 years old, the clock isn't just ticking for Robinson, it is screaming. The defensive tackle room in Philadelphia is becoming a shark tank. Between the established studs like Jordan Davis and the incoming talent, there is simply no room for error. Robinson isn't just fighting for a starting job. He is fighting for his professional life. If he doesn't show up in training camp with a level of intensity that makes the coach's jaws drop, he might not be on the 53-man roster come September. But why has his development stalled so dramatically? Could it be a disconnect with the defensive scheme? Or is it something deeper within his game that the coaches just don't trust? The answer might surprise you, and it leads us directly into the massive defensive overhaul happening this year. Speaking of defensive changes, the question of whether the Eagles should have kept Jalen Phillips has been echoing across social media. Fans are divided. Some argue he was a key piece, a guy who understood the culture. But look at the facts. Phillips, despite his talent, has been plagued by injury and has struggled to turn his flashes of athleticism into consistent sack numbers. The team made a cold, calculated move to trade for Jonathan Gord instead. It was a masterclass in roster management. They brought in an experienced, hungrier player who fits the scheme perfectly, and they did it while practically securing a compensatory pick that offsets the cost of the trade. It was a net gain, plain and simple. The team isn't interested in nostalgia. They're interested in winning, and they're willing to make the tough, unpopular calls to do it. And that brings us to the biggest conversation of all, the one that has every analyst in the country losing their minds. Jalen Hurts. The media narrative is that 2026 is a make-or-break year for him. They're claiming that if he doesn't hit certain milestones, his future as the face of the franchise is in doubt. Let's call it what it is. It is absolutely we're talking about a quarterback who has already led two Super Bowls. In the modern NFL, that is a feat of extraordinary rarity. Only one other quarterback in the league has matched that consistency. The idea that he has something to prove is an insult to his resume. Is he perfect? No. Does he have areas to improve? Every quarterback does. But when the lights are the brightest, when the pressure is at its absolute peak, he has been the guy standing in the middle of the storm delivering wins. Yet, we have analysts, people who have never stepped on an NFL field, claiming he doesn't throw the ball well enough, or that he's missing the deep threat connection. It is a fantasy. Look at the data. His passer rating on deep balls, his completion percentage on long-range targets. It is top tier. He isn't just a game manager. He is a weapon. The skepticism surrounding him isn't about football. It's about the endless need for the media to generate a controversy where none exists. When a former player steps onto a broadcast and snaps because they are tired of the constant, baseless hate thrown at the quarterback, you know the narrative has reached a breaking point. It was a raw, unfiltered moment of reality in a sea of corporate talking points. The truth is the team believes in him. The owner believes in him. The players in the locker room trust him to lead them back to the promised land. But even with a leader like that, the ship only sails if the man at the helm keeps his cool. Nick Sirianni has been in the crosshairs for years. He has faced the wrath of a fan base that demands perfection, the scrutiny of an owner who expects nothing less than a championship, and the constant pressure of a media that wants him fired every time the team hits a bump in the road. Yet, there's a reason he is still standing. Read the stories coming out of that locker room. The accounts from players who have played for him and moved on. They describe a man with a superpower for handling intensity. It is his obsession with the details, his raw, unapologetic authenticity, and his ability to hold the entire building accountable. He doesn't act for the cameras. He is who he is. And in a city like Philadelphia, that kind of honesty is either going to get you run out of town or build you a statue. So far, it has kept him winning. The team is deeper, the hunger is higher, and the pressure is at an all-time high as we inch closer to training camp. The real story isn't the drama or the rumors. It is the quiet, grinding work being done to ensure that when the season kicks off, the rest of the league is left chasing them. The stage is set. The questions are being answered. The roster is evolving. And while the outside world continues to speculate, the team is focused on one thing, the trophy. Everything else is just noise. But don't look away now, because once camp starts, the real competition for those final roster spots is going to be absolute carnage. Stay locked in, because you won't want to miss a single second of how this season unfolds.